President on a state visit to Bangladesh. Chairman of the Board of Investment resigns. Central Bank to lose control of national payment platform. A protest by pepper farmers attacked. Ajit P. Pereira speaks of a future leader in the country.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Krishan Devasagaya.
And I'm Arundhati Mudannaik. Let's take a look at the stories in detail now. President Maithripala Sirisena is on a three-day state visit to Bangladesh at the invitation of Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The president received a grand welcome at the Dhaka International Airport.
This is the first state visit to Bangladesh by President Sirisena after he assumed office. President Sirisena was received by the President of Bangladesh, Mohammad Abdul Hamid, and was accorded a Guard of Honour with a 21-gun salute. The Foreign Minister, Finance Minister and Health Minister of Bangladesh welcomed President Sirisena at the airport. Minister of Foreign Affairs Ravi Karunanayake, State Ministers Mohanlal Grero and Vasanta Aluvihare, Deputy Ministers Lasantha Alagiyawanna and Nishantha Muthuhettigama are accompanying the President on the tour. Diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh commenced in 1972 and the President aims to further strengthen economic and trade ties between the two countries.
Earlier this year, the media continued to report irregularities that marred the Google loan project undertaken by the Information and Communication Technology Agency, also known as the ICTA, and its CEO, Mohandan Kandy. Now, when Google launched Project Loon a few years ago, the plan was to provide internet access to underserved areas. However, here at home, an entity by the name Rama Corporation was created. An attempt was made to make a move on the spectrum that is a vital natural resource. Now, information has come to light that ICTA CEO Mohandan Kandy is involved in yet another irregularity.
On the 10th of November 2016, then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake proposed in his budget speech to introduce a national payment platform. With a national payment platform, all government organizations will be able to allow businesses and citizens to make online payments in real time for services offered. The creator of the NPP or this national payment platform will have access to information of all users, including institutions, businesses and citizens of the country. According to the budget proposal, ICTA would implement the national payment platform. Speaking at a national forum on the 9th of September 2015, that's almost a year before the budget proposal, CEO of ICTA, Mohandan Kandy, revealed that a national payment platform was in the making. He said that 12 companies had shown interest in the project and 3 local private companies were shortlisted. In this case, then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake informs Parliament about NPP after 3 companies have been shortlisted to undertake the project. Cabinet approval was given for the national payment platform on the 12th of July 2016. A case was filed with the Supreme Court. Seeking an order to quash the decision to implement the launch of the national payment platform through the budget proposal with private firms. The case claimed it was against the law of the country and would be taken up again on the 20th of July.
This is a fundamental rights petition, and it notes that operating a payment system in the country without direct supervision of the central bank is illegal. Therefore, any online payment in Sri Lanka must be supervised by the Monetary Board of the central bank and should be approved by it. The law has vested that responsibility with the central bank to ensure that the consumer rights are protected and the financial stability in the country is maintained. The central bank governor has opposed this payment platform. He says the system introduced by the ICTA is not one that was approved by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Despite that, the Finance Minister instructed commercial banks to implement payments introduced through ICTA from the 1st of November 2016.
According to Mohandan Kandy, Total Pay Private Limited is among the 3 companies selected for this initiative. A document prepared by Total Pay Private Limited notes that ICTA had given it the operational rights to act as a digital instructions provider for the national payment platform. To register with the NPP, a user must submit all details into the system, including the national identity card number, to bank accounts to the system that is operated by the private company. This attempt is being carried out while a successful system linking the central bank, state and private banks as well as businesses by the name of Lanka Clear is in place. A private company is brought into the picture at a time when the groundwork is already made to move Lanka Clear system under the complete supervision of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
With regard to a national payment system, what we must bear in mind is that no national payment system should be in operation without the legal sanction of the monetary board of the central bank, because it involves payments as well as settlements. There are certain laws that are directly linked to this such an operation. The provisions in the Act should be observed in this instance, otherwise it can lead to lots of discrepancies and shortcomings and also even fraudulent activities in the future.
Serious doubts have been cast over one of the companies shortlisted for the project, which is Total Pay Private Limited.
Now recently there was an appointment to the board of directors of the Bank of Ceylon, and it's a very questionable appointment, and to see it has some connection with this the system that is going to be established for this national payment system. It has some connection. No, these are persons all interconnected.
Has the Central Bank of Sri Lanka given its approval for Total Pay Private Limited to be involved in the creation of the national payment platform? At a time when irregularities have been exposed on Google Loon, the tender for the electronic national identity cards, as well as Muhundan Kanage, who permitted the NPP to go ahead under the ICTA. At this moment, people have been affected by drought, floods and various economic and social difficulties. Some are attempting to control public funds in an irresponsible manner. Therefore, what action will be taken against such people?
Now, in a surprise move today, the Board of Investment Chairman, President's Counsel Upul Jayasuriya has resigned from the post.
Speaking to Newsfirst, Upul Jayasuriya said he handed over the letter of resignation to the President's secretary. He thanked all for giving him an opportunity to serve in the post and took the decision to resign as he felt the time has come to leave. Another agency has been created to deal with investment-related matters. It was revealed yesterday that Cabinet granted approval for the establishment of a national agency for public-private partnership. The Daily News reported that former BOI chairman Thilan Vijayasinghe is to head the new body. On a previous occasion, Newsfirst revealed that Mangalayapa serves as the managing director of the one-stop shop named the Agency for Development, despite Parliament not ratifying its establishment. Therefore, there will be 3 organizations that will deal investment-related matters. They are the Board of Investments, the Agency for Development, the National Agency for Public-Private Partnership. Data obtained from the BOI website reveals that FDIs for 2015 showed a drop compared to foreign direct investment for 2014. Despite government claims that it is aimed to bring $5 billion in FDIs for 2016, it only managed to secure $300 million in FDIs last year. Previously, they attempted to bring an act to ease matters on investments even when the SLFP opposed to that. That bill was defeated in all the provincial councils. What I say is that all investments must be under one roof. However, things will not work out if Finance Minister Mangala Samarveera does the same as Ravi Karunayaka under the guise of this matter.
GSB Plus, how real is it? Was the subject under debate at the Lakshman Kadragam Institute last night.
The discussion organised by the United National Party Young Professionals Organisation was moderated by its chairman, UNP MP Harshana Raj Karuna, and comprised a panel including Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva and Economic Advisor to the Ministry of Finance, Deshal Dimel.
If you look at the growth of the Sri Lankan economy in the last couple of decades, it's really been going in the opposite direction. I think there's a very often quoted statistic that in 1990 Sri Lanka's exports as a share of GDP was about 30%, and more recently that has come down to about 12-13%. So we haven't seen any significant diversification of exports. We haven't seen, unlike countries like Vietnam, for instance, we haven't seen a shifting into more technologically oriented products. into more sophisticated products and so on. We've kind of stayed in the same same kind of structure.
With regard to GSB Plus, in the previous occasion that we had, we were growing very fast and exporting crazy. And by the time we lost it, we caught pants down. The bad story is now we have GSB Plus. However, now the situation is that we don't have fish.
Also speaking at the discussion, Deputy Minister of Policy Planning and Economic Development Dr. Harsha De Silva spoke on the role played by Sri Lanka's diplomatic missions in the recent past.
We did a survey and I sent out a questionnaire to all our missions. We have 68 missions when I was in the Foreign Ministry, and asked them a simple question: how many presentations did you make to companies in the last 12 months? And the answer was zero. Zero. So they didn't knock on a single corporate door and request to make presentations. What we see with missions here in this country, the ambassadors are really salespeople. They're marketing people. We're sending to embassies people who are not necessarily marketing people. They don't have any real background in selling. They are bureaucrats, and they've, for the last 10 years, doing one thing, and that is to say, we didn't kill anybody. And then, that was about it. So I'm not running them down. They're excellent people. It's just that is what they were doing.
Over the years, our foreign service has not been upgraded to what it should be to face the global requirements to promote the country and image build the country, and there is a lack of capacity and lack of understanding of most ambassadors and staff who are supposed to do that job. In my opinion, over the last 3-4 decades, or at least last 3 decades, foreign service has been a comfort job for some people who have had absolutely no knowledge or understanding of country marketing, country image building and promoting the destination. At the same time, the country's loss since liberalizing the economy in 1977 has gone backwards, or we have not kept up to the world's changes. So it's a two-way thing. There are reforms that has to be done internally, and also the whole foreign service probably has to be restructured.
Speaking further, Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva expressed extreme frustration at the general malaise of the public and the public-private sector.
Every day, every Friday, I sit in my office. People come, kids come with their parents, and they're 22 years old, 23 years old. They said, "Ane mage duwata rasawak kone aanduwe sewe. Ane mage putata rasawak koda denna raje." So if that is the attitude of 22-year-old, 23-year-old kids, where is our future? We need 600,000 or 800,000 people working for the government. But we have 1.5 million people working for the government. So where is this going to end up at? And nobody wants to ever contribute anything for their pension. They want the pension also to be contributed by the people who work in the private sector and pay taxes. And every time we try to change, what happens? 1,000 people, 5,000 people get on the streets and they go to court and then they get injunctions. How the hell are we going to do this? Right? I mean, if we don't liberalize, if we don't create a culture of entrepreneurship, if we don't create a culture of leadership, if we don't create a culture of risk-taking, we're never going to become that great country we are destined to become. Right? This goes beyond GSB Plus. It goes right to your DNA. Right? I mean, what is our people? Every day they want something. Diyau. Diyau. Kohenda yako denne. We can't just be armchair, critics and point the finger. Government. Government is what? Who? I am government. He's government. How are we different from you? Even the Kunu problem, it is the government's responsibility. How can it always be the government's responsibility? Where is the people's responsibility? Where is the citizenship? Where is your civic responsibility? How the hell is that you are not willing to separate your garbage? Right? So I think we have to become responsible as citizens. Right? Unless we are able to do that, all of this stuff we can talk about and have some seminar and go, but it's not going to change.
Also in local news, the Government Medical Officers Association revealed it held talks with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday over matters surrounding Saitam.
We briefed the Prime Minister on the issues surrounding Saitam. We presented a list of 5 proposals that were mutually put forward by the Government Medical Officers Association, the faculty heads of medical colleges, as well as the Lecturers Union of Medical Colleges. It was evident to us that the Prime Minister considered them in a positive manner. If this was a lie, we will not be able to speak to you like this. It all depends on the interpretation given to the meeting. Fake meetings are created for political gains. Politics is not important here. This issue has become a burden to the nation. Minister of Health Dr. Rajitha Senaratne was met with a silent protest by medical students from the Peradeniya University when he visited the Kandy General Hospital today. The students were requesting clinical practice at the Kandy General Hospital, Peradeniya Teaching Hospital and at the Sirimau Bandaranaike Specialist Children's Hospital. The minister held a discussion with 5 students and promised to allow clinical practice for them at the respective hospitals. The minister inquired into the status of the patient who underwent a heart transplant at the Kandy General Hospital during his visit.
The inaugural session of the 8th SAARC Interior Home Ministers meeting was held in Colombo this morning.
The meeting was organized by the Ministry of Law and Order and Southern Development together with the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Vyamba Development and Cultural Affairs. The session focused on terrorism, liberalization of visas, illegal trafficking in narcotic drugs, psychotropic substances and small arms and how to make coordinated and concerted efforts to combat such issues.
We have now brought the armed conflict to an end. What we find that merely bringing an armed conflict to an end is not the means of ending terrorism. This is why we have done something unique to the region. Form a national government. Just imagine the 2 major parties of any of our countries getting together. Terrorism today is an individual act. There are terrorists who are not recruited to the cause but who joins the cause, looking at it on the website and on the internet. So these are some of the issues that we have to face. How do we face this new type of terrorism?
Following the conclusion of the session, ministers representing SAARC member states held discussions under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and SAARC Secretary General Amjad Hussain BCL.
Well, time for a short commercial break. Stay with News First. We will be right back. Welcome back to the news. Pepper farmers demonstrated in Pallebadda demanding pepper importation be stopped and a reasonable price be given for their produce. The protest turned into chaos when a separate group launched an attack on the farmers.
Pepper farmers from Kolonna, Valigepola, Godakawela and several other areas took part in the protest. They obstructed the Colombo and Bilipita main road. MP Ranjit Zoisa arrived at the location and following his request, the protesters moved on to one lane of the road and proceeded to the Galpaya junction. Later on, a separate group arrived at the location and launched an attack on the farmers.
State Minister Dilan Pereira, speaking to reporters at the SLFP headquarters, commented on the powers of the executive presidency.
Majority of the ministers and MPs in the SLFP have told exactly what was mentioned by the Mahanayakas of the three sects. As powers of the executive presidency were curtailed from the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, it should remain as it is. We take collective decisions to protect the existing peace and not to dismantle anything. If we do so, that will only benefit those who have reached deals with the United National Party. There are certain issues between the President and the Prime Minister. They have two separate views. The President will not act according to the whims of Ranil Wickremesinghe. It is because the President appointed a commission that we can take aim at the government. The evidence has revealed of a great theft. GLP has mentioned that Mahinda Rajapaksa does not require nominations given from Dali Road. I asked this from GLP. How many times have you come to the party headquarters located in Dali Road? I am ready to debate with him on any topic. He only shows love to the SLFP when he feels like it. The General Secretary should not have made that statement. He cannot make a statement like that. Who is Mahinda Rajapaksa and who is Duminda Disanayaka?
The Colombo Chief Magistrates Court ordered evidence of the case filed by the Bribery Commission against Mahinda Nandarudgamage and other suspects be examined on the 30th of October.
The case is in relation to an alleged misappropriation that took place when importing sports equipment worth 53.5 million rupees for the Sports Development Department. Colombo Chief Magistrate ordered the suspects of the case, former chairman of Laksatasa Nalin Fernando and Elmo Pereira, a coordinating secretary to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, to be present before court on the 30th. Considering the fundamental rights petition filed by MP Kumara Welgama asking for an order to prevent the FCID arresting him was postponed to the 7th of November. The petition was taken up today before a three-judge bench comprising Chief Justice Priyasad Depp, Justices Anil Gunaratna and Nalin Pereira. Mahinda will do something. We are with the general public. We have to topple the government by the end of this year. The election is coming in 2020. We hope to topple the heads first. Then there is no need for an election. We just have to establish the government.
The former mayor of Kaduvela took aim at Vimal Weerawansa today during a media briefing.
Former Minister Vimal Weerawansa visited Italy recently. He had made a statement that he lost his passport. When he attempted to travel overseas with the alleged lost passport, he was detained and questioned by customs. I asked this question from Vimal Weerawansa. If you can answer this, when you were detained and questioned, how did you get a brand new passport by midnight that day? Answer this question. Never before was a passport prepared for a person at midnight. It was done only for Vimal Weerawansa. The clearance certificate was given by the Telangana police at 11 that night. By midnight, he had left with the passports. Who helped you do that?
The foundation stone was laid for the Udagamana concept village to be constructed in Milania, Horana. 40 families will benefit from this housing project that takes place under the Samatha Sevana program at a cost of 34 million rupees.
Where is the miracle they spoke of? Now they are telling more lies to confuse the people. They use the veterans for their political gains. They fail to state that they ordered to shoot the people who demanded water. But they go on saying that the veterans are being hunted. Now they say that Buddhism is losing its place and the Dhamma and the laymen are being destroyed. They are spreading lies. You must keep in mind that they are doing so with the aspiration of filling their pockets in the future. I believe that you, who suffered while living in Horana, are extremely happy after receiving lands today. I pray that Sajit Premadasa, who feels and understands the pain of the people like you, gain more strength to continue these activities. I also pray that he becomes the leader of this country.
Maya Senanayake, the mother-in-law of the Deputy Chief of the Office of the Prime Minister, Rosi Senanayake, passed away yesterday. The late Maya Senanayake was the spouse of former IGP Stanley Senanayake. Maya Senanayake, who was 90 years old at the time of her demise, was the daughter of the founder of Nalanda College, P.D.S. Kularatna. She was an active social worker and was the chairperson of the Buddhist Women's Convention. The late Maya Senanayake played a major role in the establishment of the Police Seva Vanita unit and the establishment of several women's welfare societies within the Sri Lanka Police. She was a member of the Board of Investment. The late Senanayake was the mother of 4 sons. Her third son, Atula Senanayake, is married to Rosi Senanayake. The final rites of Maya Senanayake were carried out this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. at the Boralla Public Cemetery. You're watching Primetime News on News First. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
Spoken out against a document titled the Independent Counsel for News Media Standards Act, which proposes imprisonment and fines for journalists as well as to impose rules to reveal sources.
It is clear that the students, doctors, professionals, labourers and the general public are not in favour of the reforms or liberal programmes undertaken by the government. This is being shown to the masses through the media. That is what needs to take place in society. This is in fact an obstacle for the present government to carry on with its programmes. This document can be viewed as an attempt to silence and suppress the oppositions they face. The introduction of this act will restrict the right of the people to access information. This will be a form of authoritarian rule. There is an issue regarding the content of this document and the manner it was presented. There are no mutual code of ethics adopted by the electronic media. The media institutions must collectively create a code of ethics. There is state interference when it comes to newspapers. Since the industry must move ahead, the Press Complaints Commission was created under the Sri Lanka Press Council. The government imposing a code of ethics can be viewed as a government attempting to control the media. There is an attempt to cause an issue in society through the presentation of this act. Solutions have not been provided to the issues in the media sector and its ethics, social issues, issues of the media professionals and related matters. For the first time, they are trying to do away with the legal body and introduce a new regulatory act. What is required is not to restrict the freedom of the media personnel or to control the information as per the needs of the government authorities. What is required is to create a new Sri Lankan media culture for the training of journalists, media education and to meet the requirements of society.
And in sports news this evening, Zimbabwe will play against Sri Lanka in the only test match of the tour starting tomorrow at the Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. At a pre-match press briefing, the Sri Lankan skipper revealed the approach it will make in tomorrow's game.
We plan to utilize 7 batsmen and 4 bowlers. The batsman will include Asela Gunaratne because he can contribute to the bowling department. The Zimbabwean batsman performed well in all 5 ODIs. We will not underestimate our opponents. We also have the experienced Rangana Herath in our test side. We also have Dilruwan Pereira. We will not allow the visitors to maintain their attacking form in the test.
Yeah, we know he's a quality bowler, and I mean he's someone that Sri Lanka really rely on, to pick up wickets. Yeah, we rely a lot on our spinners, which has always been, our wicket taking.
Before we wrap up, let's take once again a look at the views expressed by Minister Dilan Pereira on Duminda Lisanayake and GL Pires.
විනිසානක මාත්‍යා කවුද? අද විනිසානක කියලා කියන්නේ පුංචි බබෙක්. අය පුංචි බබාගේ තත්වයට ජීවිස් මැතුමා වැටෙන්නේ ඇයි? ජීවිස් මැතුමා දේශපාලනේ දුමින්දටත් වඩා පැටියෙක්.
Well, on that note, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. It was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.